Hey there, welcome to Gals Get Real, where real women, real stories, and real talk come together. I'm Megan.
I'm Kristen. Between us, we have 9 adult children with 6 daughters. Let's open up the conversations we never had with our moms and flip the script with the kind of connections we want with each other and our daughters.
We're here to laugh, cry, and dive into all the things, from everyday shifts to the curveballs and life pivots, and the messy, magical moments that make us who we are.
Gals, we are talking travel today. We have a great guest with us. Haley Lamy is here. She is the founder of Carry On Couture. And Haley is going to share with us today all she's learned over the last 10 years traveling carry on only. That's 10 years carry on only. Can you imagine, Megan?
No.
She's going to talk travel capsule, wardrobe, and packing tips, and has an Instagram that's now 94,000 plus followers. We're so excited.
I know, we're so excited.
Hi, Haley. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I will tell you a little bit about how I met Haley. So Haley had started this Instagram, and I started a little Instagram this fall, and I reached out to her because I loved her Instagram. I'm a terrible packer. And she was so sweet, and she told me about her experience and sort of how she got started in terms of she was helping family and friends. And then it sort of blew up and evolved into this amazing Instagram that I think has helped so many people, including me. So Haley, my first question to you is, do you find that there's a big difference between generations of women in terms of how they choose to pack or travel? Because I know I have 3 daughters, and they always bring a carry-on, and they're always yelling at me that I am not allowed to check a bag. I have to bring a carry-on. And it's always like a struggle for me. So I've gotten better, but I'm wondering if you've noticed sort of differences in generations.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I know when we had talked about doing this podcast, initially you had maybe brought that up as a possible angle. And I thought, no, I don't think it's a generational thing at all. I have 3 boys and they've always done carry on. So I can't relate to the girls. But then I started thinking about it. And you're right. I do think you're right, actually. And I do think it's generational. And I started thinking, well, why is that? So we who grew up in the 80s-ish era, we always checked bags.
Yes,
it wasn't an issue, right? We checked bags. Carry-on wasn't even a thing. And in 2008 is when airlines started charging for checked bags. With that, I think travel has become so much more accessible with the proliferation of budget airlines. And budget airlines do not charge, or they do charge for checked bags. So I think that was a little bit of an issue. I think with millennials and Gen Zers, there's this huge cultural phenomenon right now of minimalism going on. So I think that leads to it. But I also really think, as with everything going on in the world right now, it's social media. And there are so many travel influencers who promote carry-on travel. And so I think that's where the kids are getting it. They're seeing it on social media. And there's a huge social pressure, actually, to travel carry-on that I don't necessarily agree with, despite the fact that I promote carry-on travel. And I see a large backlash, actually, even on my Instagram and a lot of the comments. I've got people saying, I get 2 free check bags. I'm not going to carry on, and I want my stuff and I want options, and it's gross that you rewear things. So there is a little bit of a backlash. So I do feel like it may be generational some, and I do think there are 2 camps of that's the only way to travel and that's a terrible way to travel. So
like that learning curve of getting from one place to the next with your attitudes, right? Because some people are seeing it as smart and almost stylish, and others are like, no, I need all my stuff to come with me.
Yeah. And we can talk about it as the conversation goes on, but I definitely think it's a little bit of a mindset shift that you need to make. But for me, carry-on travel became a thing. 10 years ago, I went on a girls' trip to Italy, and my mom had traveled quite a bit to Europe, and not on 1 occasion, but 2, she lost her bags. Like, they didn't just get delayed. They never showed up. And so when I was planning for that very first girls' trip I took 10 years ago, I thought, I don't want to lose my bag. And that's kind of how it all started. I don't want to lose my bag. But it has really evolved into so much more. It is actually truly a liberating way to travel. I mean, I feel like I spend less time at the airport. I don't have to get there as early to check in. I don't have to go to baggage claim. It is so much easier just to maneuver with less baggage. And anybody who does not travel with only a carry-on knows the struggles of large luggage. I mean, inevitably, especially if you're overseas, and I can really speak to Europe, which is where my experience lies, you're going to get stairs. You're going to have trains, and it's just a challenge. You're going to have crowds, and the more luggage and stuff you have to bring around, the more complicated it is. Hotel rooms are much smaller. A lot of them don't have elevators. So it's just I learned the hard way before I was a carry-on traveler that it's not easy to bring a lot of stuff with you. And I think it's liberating to have less stuff just to choose from. I mean, a lot of people want the options, but to me, sometimes the options almost bog you down. So if you, and we can talk about this as we go on, but as you plan your packing, that's when your options are made and your choices are made. You do it ahead of a time, not on the road traveling, if that makes sense.
No, that makes complete sense. And I'll speak for myself. I'm always so impressed how my girls, because I'm with you, I have two boys, and I mean, they only travel with a carry-on, and they have so little stuff that it's like completely amazes me. But then what also amazes me is my three daughters will bring a carry-on, and every night they'll have a cute dress. Maybe they'll wear it twice, depending on how long the trip is. But to your point, it's not like bringing a carry-on means you have to wear the exact same thing every night. Whereas I am of the mindset, well, what if it rains? Well, what if this? Well, what if that? What if it's cool? What if I want to wear this dress? What if it's, and it's just so silly because as I've evolved into trying, I will say trying very hard to be a carry-on only packer, there is an element of it is liberating because you make your choices at home. And then you get there and you just work with what you have. And if you thought about it beforehand, you're going to be good to go.
Yeah.
Which sort of leads, is it in the planning? Is that where we can start to change that mindset?
100%. So actually, first, maybe we should just talk about why people overpack. And I've spent a lot of time with clients packing and try to understand why do people overpack. I think there's some emotional issues. Travel induces some anxiety anyhow, just the thought of traveling. So sometimes I think, gosh, the overpacking is a form of control, maybe just having control over their items. There's always the fear of being unprepared, like Megan said, the what-ifs. And that leads to overpacking. But I often feel that fear is a little bit over-exaggerated. I don't know that it's as...
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's almost irrational. My girls tell me, they're like, that's ridiculous. Pick up 4 dresses, call it a day, bring 1 jean jacket, you're good to go.
Again, I think a lot of times bringing belongings, it just makes people feel close to home, maybe. So, but in addition to like some of these emotional issues, there's also just, like you said, lack of planning. Failing to research your destination, to understand your weather, to know what your activities are. I mean, that leads to a lot of uncertainty, and that will cause you to overpack. If you don't pre-plan your outfits ahead of time, you're going to pack more items. So I'm a proponent for, even if you don't know what you're going to wear every day, have an idea of like, okay, my active days, I have this outfit formula. For my evenings, I have this outfit formula. So those are some strategies that we can even discuss in a minute. And last minute packing is a surefire way to cause yourself to overpack because you just start, you're under duress, you're throwing stuff in.
I can totally relate to the stress of last minute packing and feeling like I'm throwing stuff in. So I am definitely going to start. What is your recommendation? Should you start just the day before? Start thinking about it a couple days before? Like, is there a formula?
No, it's individual. And for me, part of the joy of the trip is actually the pre-planning ahead of time, working on the itinerary, but also planning what I'm going to wear. And so I have a little rolling rack in my closet and I start thinking about my trip, like, what might be good? And I just start putting things on a rack. And then, I might walk by it and go, no, I don't want to wear that. And I'll take it off. But I just kind of have things kind of on deck, maybe a couple weeks ahead of time. one of the reasons it's important to start early is sometimes you need to buy things, like, oh, I really need a sweater, like, a light sweater, and it might take you a while to find it. So just for those reasons, it's good to start early. But, there are some logistical things too that do complicate carry on travel. And one of those is varying weather conditions. That's what a lot of people, oh, I'm going to a place where it's going to be hot one day and maybe rain and then cold the next. So, that's a real issue to contend with. And also, if it's a long trip and not having access to laundry, that's also a really understandable issue. So,
No, those are legit issues. And
they're
is that
legit.
where layering helps? Even though
100%.
layering is more pieces of clothing, still it allows for versatility.
Absolutely. So, if I try to look at each issue when I'm helping people pack and say, okay, well, that you get worried about not having what you need. That's what I call the case of the what ifs. Well, first of all, I think you just need to accept first and foremost that you can't control everything. So that's the mind shift we're talking about, right? You can't control every situation. So pack for what you know. And then for what might arise, just plan on buying at your destination, unless you're going somewhere really remote. But most of us are going to be places where we might be able to pick up those emergency things, right? But that also comes into play wanting different outfits. You want to look different on your trip. That's when the capsule wardrobe really comes into play, because if you mix and match your items strategically, you can make your outfits look different. Like Megan said with your daughters, throw on a jean jacket or throw on a sweater, have a cute little scarf, those kind of strategies.
No, and your capsules are awesome because they tend to, for our listeners, you can just go onto our Instagram and see, but they're super cool because you kind of pick a theme or a color or a few colors that work well together. And then all of a sudden you can just see it very clearly when you see the picture of the capsule, like sort of like, wow, you can really create a whole bunch of outfits out of not too many items, which I think is super helpful for people who have a bit of an issue with overpacking.
Well,
Like the two people we're speaking
yeah,
about.
you ladies are in great company, so don't feel bad. I think one of the things to think about too, because when you're packing for a trip, everything feels really important. Like, I have to look this way and I have to wear this. And once you're on your trip, and I think we have all been there, you go for your most comfortable thing that you like to wear the most, that you want to feel comfortable sightseeing during the day. And all that stuff that was so important when you were packing kind of goes out the window. So just accept that it's okay to not look perfect. It's okay to rewear things. Nobody cares.
Haley, I love that point, because if I don't like that dress here in Connecticut, I probably don't like it just because I'm in Paris or wherever.
100%. If you don't wear it at home, do not bring it on your trip. A lot of people don't even know where to start with the capsule wardrobe. I mean, and that is actually why I started my Instagram, because I really wanted to do this, and I would get online and try to find examples of capsule wardrobes. And then just really everything was black and white and stripes and just really no interest. And so I thought, God, I could do better than this. Like, I got to create something more fun where people can really see it in action with real clothes, not, clothes you might buy at Anthropology or Nordstrom or things like that. So,
Wow.
Yeah. And almost having that blank slate, I'm guessing, and then using your accessories perhaps to make it more fun, interesting, or dressed down or up.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it is absolutely easier to pack light when you keep things very neutral: blacks, whites, navies, creams, grays. And then to really dress it up, throw on a scarf or throw on a cute jacket that maybe has the interest, have like a blank canvas, but then add a fun piece or two that doesn't take up a lot of space in your bag.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like with how quickly your Instagram has grown with so many followers, it sort of leads me to believe, like you said, we're in good company. A lot of women are having this issue. So, what tends to happen? Do you tend to take on a client and then walk them through the packing? Have you how does it work in terms of helping people from your end really genuinely improve?
So I kind of came up with a step-by-step guide. So if someone wants to work with me, I send them the information. It's a little step-by-step guide and a little template. And these are just guidelines to get them started. But I feel like people just don't know where to start or how to start. So they will kind of do their homework and work through their guide and kind of start filling out their template. And of course, I'm available by phone call or FaceTime or email, whatever people want to do. Everybody has different ways and they're busy. So some people don't want to talk on the phone, other people need more help. But I'll help troubleshoot. I'll look at their items and say, oh, well, you've got two things that might serve the same purpose here. So let's eliminate one. I just really am I think some people just like to be reassured. So I feel like I'm their reassurance that no, they're doing okay. And I might make them think of things that they hadn't thought of. Like I always bring a raincoat, even in the summer, things like that.
Interesting.
And are you very good about when you get right into it, like the organization? Well, obviously you are, but are people receptive to hearing about how to organize differently? Is it better to roll versus fold? What about leaving that extra space for that purchase of the dress you didn't realize you would need?
Yes, everyone's receptive and people have their own ways of doing things. There's no one right way or wrong way. I mean, I think a perfect example of what you're maybe talking about is like packing cubes. Some people think packing cubes are the end all be all and the lifesaver and the game changer. I don't feel that way, but I do feel like they're useful. So I think there's a lot of ways to get to the end result. I think I don't ever tell anybody what to pack. People come to me with their wardrobe. I'm not going to say, well, that doesn't look good together. I mean, I'm not a stylist. I just try to help them think through what they're bringing and why, more importantly, why they're bringing it. I always say traveling with a carry-on isn't about bringing less. I mean, it is, but let's think of it not as bringing less, but really bringing what matters. So thinking about your trip and everything you bring is intentional. There's a reason for it. It's serving a purpose. And a big rule that I always say is if it doesn't serve two purposes, or if you don't wear it at least twice, it doesn't come. And now again, there are situations, certain trips are different. Weddings and events that's a different type of packing. But just for your general traveling, those are just some kind of rules that help minimize things.
Yes, 100%. Now, I have a quick question for you. Were you always a carry-on sort of minimalist type?
No.
You have a phase where you were not.
No, I was a chronic overpacker, big suitcase, just all the stuff, throwing everything just in case in, not think, I don't know what to bring. Everything got brought, didn't wear half my things. I know that sounds familiar. And it was that trip 10 years ago that I didn't want to be that girl anymore. And I'm not going to lie, it was tough. If somebody is minimalist by nature, it may not be such a leap, but I like the clothes and the shoes. I do the hair and the makeup. So yeah, it was a challenge, but I did it and I've never looked back and I will never check a bag again. One of the things I feel like is a huge issue with packing light, I always say the clothes are the least of my worries. It's the toiletries, and it just really comes down to minimizing. One tip I'd love to give all the ladies, we have all of our serums and our wrinkle creams and our lotions and potions. I don't bring all that on my trip. Like for a week or two, if I miss it, I'm not sure it's helping that much anyway. I just bring a great moisturizer.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, really
Take a vacation.
take a vacation. Yeah, just bring one great moisturizer. I only bring the amount needed for that trip. Like if I have 2 pumps a day, I do for a 10-day trip, I'll do 20 pumps in a little container. So it's really minimizing your routine, minimizing the amount you bring. That's very helpful too.
Do you convert your everyday products to smaller containers?
I do. And you can get little containers and pouches and stuff on Amazon. Super, super easy to find.
Good tip. I feel like that's a next level
right.
organization.
That's like, again, if you gave yourself time to pack ahead of time, you have time to do your toiletries that way. The day of,
you have time to purchase.
Still throwing everything into the big old suitcase.
Yeah, I like that tip actually. A lot of the creams and you do have to pack. To your point, eye makeup removers, all that is liquid, and it can be too much. So
well, and there's strategies of bringing non-liquid. Like I bring wipes, like my makeup remover wipes.
Yeah, that's what girls do. That's great.
They've got other non-liquid items. Some are better than others. I just minimize everything into little containers, little pouches and stuff.
Do you tend to leave your valuables behind, or what about your electronics? Do you minimalize in that way also?
Yeah, I personally don't travel with anything very valuable. Like I don't wear my diamond engagement ring when I travel. I just wear a band. I don't bring a lot of jewelry, but I'm not going to tell somebody not to do that. That's very personal. I mean, I would minimize it. I wouldn't bring a ton of jewelry, but if you love jewelry, you want to bring what makes you feel special. So I would never tell anybody not to do that. But personally, I don't. I try not to travel with my computer, my laptop, just because it's so heavy. But I like an iPad because I like to download things and watch them on the plane. So just anywhere you can think to save electronics, all the cords and stuff take up space and add weight. So those are great areas to kind of say, okay, how could I minimize that when you travel? But sometimes people have to bring their laptops if they're traveling for business. So just depends on the trip.
Those are really good tips. I mean, obviously, every situation is different. You mentioned special events. We have business travel. Not everybody can travel like all the time, but I
No,
do really find it so helpful. Do you get good feedback when people return if they've made that change or even just a tiny change in their packing process?
I can honestly say 100% of the people I have helped pack or talked into doing carry on, 100% say they loved it and they would never travel any other way again.
Wow,
Wow.
100%.
100%. And I've helped a lot of people pack, family, friends, now clients with my carry on couture. People are shocked that they can do it. I had a client just off, she left yesterday for Europe and we did 18 days in a carry on. And she's actually a plus size gal as well. And she said, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm doing it. My husband can't believe it. Look, carry on is not for everybody. I really do understand that. And every trip isn't a carry on trip, but I am here to show you it can be done if you want to do it. But I never pass judgment if people don't want to do it. I went on a trip in March with two of my very best college girlfriends. And it was funny because at the beginning of our trip planning, they're like, we're going to do carry on. I'm like, great. And then we'd get closer to the trip, they're like, we're thinking about doing carry on. And then the week before the trip, both of them very defiantly, we're not going to carry on. We're not doing it. Well, I could write a book on all the things that went wrong with their giant bags. I mean, it was classic, all the reasons I carry on. And we laugh about it. And I have to say, they said they wouldn't do it any different because they're those people who want to bring all their stuff.
I actually think that after this conversation, I'm going to really try and be one of those 100% people.
Okay, but could you do 18 days?
No, 18 days is like,
18 days
that's
is
amazing.
you're hired, Haley.
So when you are on a long trip and you need to wash items, because you can't go that long without washing, there's a couple different options. That's when your fabric and material selection, item selection really becomes important. So make sure you choose items that, I can hand wash this easily and it'll dry quickly. So you kind of have to think ahead, like what things are easy to wash. And the things that are up against your skin are more important, like your sweaters and little jacket and outer layers aren't as critical unless you spill. So yeah, I mean, just being strategic in your item selection when you have a trip that long. But a lot of places will send out your laundry. It's a little bit expensive, but or maybe when you're planning your trip, you're like, well, I need to make sure we have access to laundry at least halfway through. I mean, so again, pre-planning comes into play.
Yes, I do feel like that's probably the way of the future, really. The younger generations have sort of figured it out before women in their mid 50s like us. So I think that
As we sit there watching our daughters pack with our jaws dropped, like, wait, you're going for how long with, but it's so smart. There's so many benefits to it. Obviously, you've done such a nice job, Haley, of pointing that out to us.
Thank you.
Is there one big tip you might share with travelers today besides how to pack? Any other?
Yeah, limit your shoes. That's it. And start with your shoes. Start from the bottom.
I wear mostly sneakers I'm an adaptive traveler, as we call ourselves. And so I have found a way to simplify the type of shoe, but I still can't cut down the number of sneakers.
Yeah. So if you start your travel capsule planning with your shoes, say, and then work up, because if you start with your outfits, then you get into needing a lot of different shoes to match your outfits.
okay. And wait, back to what Kristen said in terms of like rolling versus I don't ever roll, but is that actually a smarter way to capitalize on the minimal amount of space you're dealing with?
Some items roll better, some items lay flat better. So, like pants that are a little heavier, I will lay them flat in my suitcase and kind of like spilling over the edges, right? In the bottom. Maybe if it's a linen dress that I don't want to roll up, I might lay it flat like that. Again, everything kind of spilling over the edges of the suitcase. Then I'll take the items that roll well, pajamas, t-shirts, things that don't wrinkle, roll them tight. I will put them in a packing cube because I like the organization. I don't think they're the end all be all, but I like the organization they give. And then I will lay those rolled items on top of the items laying flat in my bag. Then I fold kind of like the edges like a package. And that seems to help minimize wrinkles. I have a really good wrinkle tip. Travel with a little tiny empty spray bottle with nothing in it. And when you get there, mist with a plain water. You don't need wrinkle releasing spray. I think that just has scent in it. I just take a little spray bottle with water. I hang stuff up immediately. I spritz. I kind of like pull the wrinkles out a little bit and let it dry, and it works great.
That's a great tip.
That's a great tip. I know that your Instagram, I use the term blow up, which I know you don't necessarily love, but in a very short amount of time, you went to almost 100,000 followers. So what do you think is sort of the key to that? Is there's a need for you because women just simply have a hard time packing? Is it genetic? Because I know men don't have that. I'm sort of joking. It's more that we just have so many more options than men.
Well,
but
yeah.
Thing you can pin on sort of why it's grown and there's been so much interest in your service?
Well, I think there's a huge travel boom going on since COVID. I mean, I think people have always loved travel, but it seems extreme right now, the traveling. Everybody's traveling. Everybody wants to go to Italy. I mean, I swear to God, if I put Italy on any post, it blows up. So people are loving traveling. I never want anyone to feel like carry-on is the only way to travel, because it's not. But it sure is a great way to travel once you wrap your head around it. And yeah, I'm here to help whoever wants it. I'm here to encourage and just tell people it can be done. And I don't think you'll regret it if you ever get it down. Sometimes you got to really want it.
Right. You've got to want it. And then it's 100% no turning back from there.
And just Haley, tell the listeners where to find you on Instagram again.
You can find me at carry_on.couture. carry_on.couture.
I love the name, by the way. How did you come up with that name?
I don't know. I have no idea. And just one day I thought, Carrie Ann Couture would be so cute.
Well, it rings true.
It rings true. It's very chic, Haley.
So for our last question, outside of travel, what is one piece of advice you'd like to share with women right now?
I think we've got one life. Let's live it. Let's appreciate it and appreciate the moment we have, because tomorrow is never promised.
That says it all.
That literally says it all. Okay, so Haley, I love that I met you back in the fall.
Oh, I love that I met you, Megan.
Oh, it's been such a treat. And I love that you joined our podcast. It's been so fun. And yes, just thanks a million. We know that there are literally a million podcasts out there, and so many of them are so, so good. We'd love for you to tell your friends, daughters, and all the women in your life to tune in, get real, and share all the things.
Yes, share your stories with us by DMing and following us on Instagram at GalsGetRealPod. And please subscribe, like, and share wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, lots of love.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.